This session will be a session where we're moving to Relaxasana, the tree. So it's a session about balance and a session again about the hips and the lower back. And we're going to take it nice and gently, nice and slow, no sudden movements. Remember, if you have any ailments, any areas of the body that are slightly playing up, please do compensate for them. Do, just poses, or even not do a pose if that feels better for you. At any point, those who are listening on to the live recording, do ask a question. I'm just going to see if I can mute everybody. There we go. Okay, but you can unmute yourselves and ask a question if you need to. So lying flat first of all, Shavasana. Just check that the palms are upwards. And that you're comfortable, that the chin is towards the chest. Yeah, that's good. And it's important just as much at the beginning of the class as the end of the class that we don't get cold. So being kind of overly careful about that is very wise. And we'll do the initial check-in. So in mindfulness, this is called the 3-minute breathing space. So just adjust the shoulders away from the head, maybe widen out the shoulder blades, place the hands down comfortably. Make sure the feet are at least a 1.5 feet apart. 2 feet apart is good, toes going outwards. You can even wriggle the feet from side to side to just loosen up into the hip joint. And then there's a sensation of the body just sinking into the ground as if the ground were warm and fairly soft earth. And then with the eyes closed, let's have a wee peek into the mind. What are we thinking at the moment? What is the mind doing? And if you find that the mind is going all over the place, I'd say kind of join the gang. A busy day and rushing to get to yoga. The mind is probably still bouncing about a bit. So just observing the major thing it's thinking about, and maybe the couple of other things that it brings in as backup to think about, but with no harsh judgment, just a very kind awareness, if possible. And if there's anything you can notice that you can be kinder to yourself about, then we could practice that during the week until the next class. And then noticing how we're feeling emotionally, again with great kindness. Okay, and then noticing how the body feels in this moment. And being especially aware of those areas that are a little bit maybe out of balance, playing up slightly, needing a little bit more TLC. And then let's take the awareness to the breath. Notice the body being breathed.
So just jump.
So notice the in-breath and the out-breath. And noticing the pauses in between the breaths. And if possible, noticing where the body is moving when you breathe. Okay. And then the last part is bringing that all together, being aware of the breath, the body, the emotions, and the mind. So this is all of you in this moment, held with care and kindness, on this mat, in this place, in this room. So present moment awareness. And I don't normally ask you this, but if you can notice, if already your body is feeling a little bit calmer, a little bit more rested, just from a few minutes of lying here, coming into the present moment. Don't worry if it isn't, don't worry if the mind or emotions or body are still racing around, but also if there is any difference, just seeing if you can notice that. Okay, and then take the awareness to your big toes. And I'd like you to just wiggle your big toes. Follow your big toes. They're still there. And then wiggle all the toes. And then bring the legs to parallel and move the toes towards your face and away. So stretching the front and back of your legs. And then as you're doing that, see if you can wriggle your thumbs and then all your fingers and thumbs. Okay, and then breathe in, bring the arms behind you and long stretch. So bring the toes towards you and the arms behind you, stretching away from you. So really trying to open out. And if you can, see if you can push your heels away from you, like another inch away from you. So you're making the gap between your heels and your fingertips even bigger. And as you do that, see if you can move your shoulders nearer to your fingers and your fingers another inch or so. And that will stretch all along the torso. You might feel that, you might feel it where your internal organs are as you're doing this big stretch. And just breathing into that. If you like, you can do a couple of rounds of deep breaths. As you continue to stretch. Very good. And then bring the hands down to Maltese cross, so they're coming out at the shoulders if you've got room. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Okay, and then bring the knees up, place the feet on the floor. And if you've still got a blanket over you, that's fine, or you can move it. But just letting the knees go down to the left, look to the right, and then breathe in, they come up, and breathe out the other way. So just gently beginning to give the body a bit of a twist.
You'll be looking the other way.
Yeah, looking the other way to where the knees are going. And remember, this is a really good one to do first thing in the morning as well.
It's the cat's off.
So keep doing that, and then on one side, just stay down, looking the opposite way. And then breathe in, bring the knees up, and breathe out, go the opposite way. And just breathing into that, strongly looking the opposite way. And then on the next in-breath, coming up, bringing the knees up, looking forward up to the ceiling. Okay, just pausing there. And then bring the knees to the chest and pulling in. So a really strong pressure on the abdominal area. Okay, and you might feel the tummy gurgle a bit. Hopefully you haven't had a big meal within the last 2 hours. Okay, and then place the hands onto the knees and do the big circles that we normally do, making big circles. This is nicely massaging into that abdominal area. It's very useful for digestive issues or bloating. It's quite soothing. And if you want to, you can let go of the hands on the knees and do even bigger circles, just to see what that's like, because that's moving the hips a little bit more. And then going the opposite way. So if you're going clockwise, now going anti-clockwise. Okay, and then reach through and see if you can hold on to your feet and push your knees away from you. Okay, so this is a good stretch into those adductor muscles on the insides of the thighs and around the groin area. And just stretching, pushing away. Now, if you feel a pain at the front of your knee joint, ease off on, it might be on one side, it might be on both sides. Just ease off and bring the knees, the feet are further away from you and the knees up, not pushing them back and away from you so much. Really, really concentrating on making sure that the hips are moving. You don't want any pain in the knees. And then when you've done that, straighten the legs and hold the hands behind the thighs. Bring the toes down. Okay. And see if gently, if you can rub the backs of the legs, if you could open out behind the knees more, get them a little bit more straight. Because obviously, if you never stretch them, they're going to just, over time, get shorter. Everything at the back of the legs, and tendons and the ligaments. So it's only by encouraging them open. And then you can sort of pedal. Not like the bicycle bit, we're just pushing one heel up to the ceiling while the other knee bends. And then the other heel up to the ceiling straight and the other knee bends. Okay. A bit like what we do when we're doing downward facing dog. We're doing a sort of wriggle step procedure. Okay, good. Then you can do cycling. So if you want, you can clasp the hands behind the head and do that really big exaggerated cycling. And although this is really good for the hip joints and the knee joints, it's also good for the abdominal muscles and the back muscles. So it's kind of a complete winner. And then do exaggerated backward cycling if you can. Okay, and then bring the feet, soles of the feet down to the ground, a bit wider than hip width. Let the knees knock together and rest for a moment. And we're going to do one of the hip rotations. I don't do that often because I'm not sure if my hips like it, so it's kind of hard to demonstrate it, but it's not fair on you that if my hips clunk a little when I do this. So some of you all know which one it is. It's the one where you take the leg up and then round and start to describe really big circles with one foot. Really big. Clunk. I've been told the clunk is fine, but. And then obviously rest that leg. Pause. And we do the other leg. Make sure you've got enough room. And you want to describe big circles with the other leg. Okay, pause. You can rest the legs straight or you can bend the knees. Pause for a moment. Then lift the first leg up again and think out the circles you're doing. I want you to do the reverse circles. So if you're going one way, you're now going the opposite way. And it might not clunk going that way. Okay, rest that leg, pause. And then lift the other leg up and you sort of pretend you're just about to do a circle without thinking. That was the way you probably first went. And now do the opposite way. Okay, enough. Bend the knees, soles of the feet on the floor, pause for a moment. You can let the knees knock together, bring the chin to the chest. Okay, and then you bring the soles of the feet together and the heels up towards the torso as much as possible. And the knees coming out quite wide. You can bounce the knees a little too. Okay, and then see if you can bring the heels up a little bit higher. And then rock the pelvis from side to side. That will bring the knee down to the floor on one side and then the other. Rocking the pelvis, right to left, right to left. Okay, good. And then straighten out the right leg. And I want you to pretend you're doing tree with the left leg, that the left knee is going out. Okay. And then take your hands behind you. So doing a lying down Vrksasana, but on the floor. A lying down tree. And the foot, the right foot, obviously, we're pretending that it's standing on earth. And I was beneath a beautiful tree today. I didn't know what kind of tree it was, but it was majestic. And of course, it's got no leaves or even buds on it at the moment, but it went up and up and up into the sky. Quite beautiful. And I was thinking that, you know, all those branches going up and up and up, the roots were going down and down and down into the earth beneath me. And that's what we try to think about when we do a standing tree, that our roots are going down deep into the earth. Okay, lovely. And then straighten the left leg and do the same with the right leg. Try to make the pelvis kind of even on the floor if you can. And interestingly, we do Vrksasana, the tree, because we're usually working on balance emotionally and balance physically. And you think, well, isn't this cheating? Because we're not really challenging our balance. But at the same time, it is bringing an equilibrium from the, you've got your fingers pointed above your head, the tips of your fingers, all the way down through the torso, all the way down into the earth. It's almost like a plumb line. Okay. And then bring the left foot up to meet the right foot. So we're back in lying down cobbler, Supta Baddha Konasana, and breathing out, bring the palms together and just rest them at the chest area. Pausing there for a moment, chin to chest. Nice long back of the neck. No rush, just being. Lovely. And if you've still got your socks on, if your room is cold, you could take socks off now. Anybody who's left them on. Keep them nearby because you'll have to put them on later when we do relaxation again. And what I'd like you to do is place the, if you're like me, if you've got a blanket beneath you, it's probably good to come out the way now because we need the slight stickiness of the mat. So I'd like you to bring the feet again, heels up, this time towards the buttocks, towards the torso. And hopefully the heels are corresponding with about where the femur joins into the socket. So they're just on that line. And we're going to go up into the bridge pose. So a warning. First of all, let's just do the pelvic rock here, where we rock the pelvis away and towards. You'll feel the back muscles, belly muscles and thigh muscles engaging. Okay, and our next in-breath, let's push through the feet, evenly through the feet as we lift the pelvis up, we take the hands behind us, backs of the hands onto the floor behind us, arms parallel, chin to chest. Great, there's a great tendency for the chin to start staring up at the ceiling. And then breathing out, coming down. And let's just keep doing that. When you come down, rock the pelvis away on the no breath, if you can. And then on the next in breath, coming up. Okay, so if you've got pressure through your knee, the front of your kneecap, just move your feet further away from your torso. That will help. Breathing out, coming down. So take this now at your own breathing rhythm, nice and steady. Remembering when you're up in the pose, check the chin to chest, check the front of the kneecap, lift if you can the pelvis higher. Breathing out, coming down. Push the pelvis away so you get that arch underneath your back on the floor. And then the next in breath, bring the pelvis towards you. Nice and slow and steady. And then the next lift upwards, staying up if you can. And just breathing into it. You can probably feel how the lower back muscles are having to engage here to keep the torso up, and the buttock muscles and leg muscles. Just watch that you're not putting too much weight through the heels of the feet. Try to push a little bit on the balls of the feet as well. And it's possible to relax the shoulders as they're not really doing much here. You're resting on them. Okay, and then coming down slowly, 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 relaxing the hands down to the floor, widening out the feet and letting the knees dock together for a moment and just resting, nothing to do. Or being aware maybe of the body breathing. Okay, and then bring the knees towards you again, and let's roll over onto one side and come up. Okay. If anybody has any questions at this point, do unmute and ask. If you hurt your lower back at all doing this, do the opposing backward arches on the lower back. So the next pose that we're going to do is Navasana, not everybody's favorite, the boat. Remember, there are ways to make it easier. You can put your tiptoes on the floor and your hands on the floor and just practice bringing them up. So in theory, the legs are straight and the torso is fairly straight, and then the arms come to the side. If you know you always roll backwards, you might want to put something behind you as a stop. So let's start off first of all with the feet, hip joint width apart, hands just resting downwards on the floor, and then bringing up the toes and up the arms and looking towards the toes. And you might not be able to stay very long. It's a pose in which you tremble quite easily from the beginning. So when you feel you've had enough, coming down and just resting comfortably, maybe holding onto the knees, maybe rocking a bit on the sitting bones from side to side, pausing. Okay, and then of course we're going to do it again. So your fingertips onto the ground, lean back a little, maybe one leg up first, then the other. Okay, and then Palms facing into the knees. Okay, probably enough again. Relax, find a comfortable position to just come out of the pose and relax. So I'm just sitting in cross-legged pose for the moment. Easy cross-legged pose. It's usually a good idea to have something like quite a thin, small block to sit on, or small cushion, sitting in a cross-legged pose. And basically at the moment, we're just using it as an interim pose. So breathing into that. And we're just going to do some simple twists in this pose. So I've got my right foot on the outside. Okay. And left foot is tucking in quite close. Spine is upright and the crown of the head lifting up towards the heavens. And let's take the left hand over to the right knee and the right hand over behind you. And if you're sitting on something, you can actually touch that right hand onto it. But before you start to twist, if you could turn the awareness to the area between the rib cage and the pelvis. That's where a lot of the internal organs are, and we don't want them to get scrunched up. So twisting, lengthen up first through the crown of the head, and then breathing out, twisting, going around a little, and then lengthen up through the crown of the head, chin down, and breathe out, twist a little bit more. Okay. And you keep doing that until you think you've got your maximum. You can use your left hand on that right knee to actually give you some oomph, to actually help you around some more. But, listen to your own body, listen and see how far you can go. Really good for the neck. Our necks tend to seize up quite early on. So twisting around, trying to twist as much down the spine as we can, breathing into it. It's quite heating, this pose. You might feel yourself getting a little bit hotter. And then breathing out, coming back to the front. And let's take the left foot onto the outside and the right foot coming in. Make yourself comfy. Just yourself on the cushion. Okay, so you know what's coming. We're going to do the twist on the other side. So take your right hand over across to your left knee and your left hand around the back, and comfortably position it. So you can go onto a fist if that helps. Hand around the back is there mostly for the push that will lengthen your spine upwards, so you don't sag downwards. It's there to stake, sort of lifting you up. And then again, check pelvis to rib cage. Have the abdominal organs got enough space? Crown to the ceiling. Breathing out, turn a little. Breathe in, crown to the ceiling. Breathe out, turn a little. Breathe in, crown to the ceiling. Breathe out, turn a little. Breathe in, lifting the crown upwards until you think you've got to a maximum. Breathing nice and steady in that. Okay, and then breathing out, coming round to the center and taking your legs out wide. Okay, so you'll know for yourself how wide your legs can go before they feel uncomfortable. I always feel that mine don't go very far before they start to hurt just in the muscles on the outside, to be honest. So you don't want anybody to over push you. And you know, you can wriggle and jiggle a bit, but if the adductors start to hurt, these very tight ones along here, just be easy on yourself, because it will only make them painful for the next few days if you over push them. So again, we have to think about this area between the rib cage and the pelvis. If that's collapsed now and I go forward, I'm compromising internal organs. So let's breathe in and take the arms up as much as we can. And we can wriggle and jiggle up, you know, really trying to give that abdominal area a long, long stretch. And then breathing out. Bring the arms down. Now the torso might not be able to come down very much at all. We've seen in the yoga box people putting their head to the floor, and good luck to them. But that's kind of hard. If you think, I feel a bit more jammed, you could check whether you can pull buttock muscles back behind you. And you can contemplate or visualize the forehead going onto the floor. But really, I don't want anybody to over push you. You're probably already feeling this, the adductors stretching on the inside of the thigh. You can drop the chin to the chest. You can see if you can reach your big toes. Maybe that will help if you can. And if you can reach the big toes, you can bring your head forward, not necessarily down, just gently exploring what feels comfortable there. You can also try moving the head slightly from one side to the other. So you are going to place your head on one knee and then on the other knee. But again, no compromising the abdominal area if you can help it. And take it so kindly you can. Gently, gently. Okay. And then breathing in, coming up. And just when you thought it was all over, we're turning to the right leg and we're going down on that side. So moving towards, hands towards that foot. Okay. Or if you need a belt, placing a belt around that foot, holding onto the belt. And then breathing out, coming down. So the trick here is we're not trying to, in this particular asana, we're not trying to go sideways on. We're actually trying to get the shoulders evenly off the floor as we lower down. And I tend to think of forehead going towards my shin. So just to get that length in the abdominal area. It's very easy to overdo this pose. So remember, you can bend the knee if you need to. I'm not staying in long. You can bring the chin to the chest. And see if for a moment you can just relax into the pose. Okay, and then sliding up that leg and stretching up again. Stretch, 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 stretch. And guess what? We're going the other way. So turning the body to the left leg and breathing out and going down. Okay. And again, just trying to check in this particular pose, asana, we're trying to get the shoulders an even distance from the floor, both of them. So I'm not twisting the torso at all. Eventually you can bring the chin to the chest, just dropping the head. And you know, that wonderful moment where you're just allowing the pose actually to do what it does without us getting in the way, struggling and overstretching or whatever it is that we do. Just actually easing in and letting it be. an even amount of time. And then slowly, slowly, slowly coming up. And the hands going up. And the hands going down, breathing out. And just resting. Either behind the legs or on the knees. Behind is actually quite nice because you can stretch the arms out straight and kind of get the tips of the fingers on the floor and then just flatten the palms while still getting the crown of the head lifting upwards. Okay, and then with your feet, can you go a little bit like windscreen wipers from side to side? Okay, and that will move up into the hip joint as well. Okay, good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the half east stretch, which you might also know as the inverted table. So just watch me and I'll show you. We use it in the Tibetans when we go. I'm going to do fist with my hands, just so that you can see. It's this pose, the half east stretch. The full east stretch is that long plank. So when you come down, see if you can come through and then up again. Okay, so I use, my hands are in the fist position, but technically most people have their fingers pointing forward. That's just a bit hard for me. Okay, so let's do that. Feet are in front of you. And you push the feet down whilst taking the knees over the feet. And looking at the ceiling and coming down. And then breathing in, going up. And breathing out, coming down. And you can just hands, again, you can take them wide or out, whatever works. You don't want your hands hurting or your wrists hurting. And then eventually, finding a position with your hands where you can go up and you can just stay for a while. Technically, you've got right angles, torso to arms, thighs, behind the knees. And use all the muscles you can to lift that pelvis higher. Okay, and then coming down out of that half east stretch, pausing, going back to cross-legged for a moment. Relaxed. You might be finding you a bit hot, so can we move the shoulders a bit? I'm just moving them backwards, rotating them backwards. Okay, and then arms out, and let's do the circular rotations into the shoulders. Hate to miss out the shoulders. We want them to get a little lubricated too. Okay, and then the kind of Egyptian dance. That's it. Okay, and then pause for a moment, switch to the other foot on the front. Pause and breathe, nothing to do. It's nice when there's nothing to do. Crown of the head lifting upwards. Body being breathed. Okay, good. So if you can maneuver yourself into a kneeling position. Okay, and then take one leg out. I'm taking my right leg out to the side. So absolutely out at what would that be? Right angle to the body. Okay. And my left arm goes up. Probably realize what's coming. My right hand slides down the right leg, and I'm going over into this kneeling side stretch. Okay. So if it hurts to go down really low, just do it to the knee or even to the thigh, but trying to give this side of the body, the left side of the body, that lovely long stretch. Okay, breathing in, raise the left hand. Breathing out, coming up. Okay, pause back in kneeling. If you're finding it hard, get your kneeling pads. There are various kneeling pads around. So much nicer with the kneeling pad. Okay, and then we're doing the other side. So if you could take the left foot out. I don't really mind where that foot's positioning itself. It can face forward, it could be out to a slight angle, but I just don't want it pointing away from me too much at the moment. It's just sort of comfortably resting. The major work we're working on is going to be the right side of the body. So breathing in. Okay, take the left hand down. And breathing out, over we go. And really feeling the stretch along here, along that right side of the body. It's opening up the ascending colon. So on any out breath, just seeing if you can go over a little bit more. Remember, it's not competitive. We're just seeing what the body would like. And then breathing in, coming up out of that, lovely. Breathing out, arms down, shake out a little. Okay, and then we're just going to go into the cat, which is fairly familiar. You might saw like your kneeling pads for the cat. Just making sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders and that the knees are underneath the hips. So you're not spread, wide like this. To a nice table position. And then, first of all, the face is parallel to the floor. And think where the tailbone is. Think about engaging your abdominal muscles. If you can, do Mula Bandha, the base lock. And for a moment, we've got all three locks going. We're going to chin through and lock. Abdominal, chin, base lock. Maha Bandha, the great lock. But keep breathing if you can. Okay. And then open up the chin lock and look up and take the tailbone up. And we're going into that hammock shape. And see if you can feel it all the way along the spine. And then breathing out, going into the bridge, chin to chest. And breathing in, back up into the hammock. Okay. So see if you want a little bit of a challenge. The challenge is to keep the base lock in place and engage the abdominal core. The chin lock only comes in as we do the end of the bridge pose. And see also if there's that lovely sensation of the spine rippling from the tailbone up to the skull. I'm trying to get every single vertebra of the disc moving one way and then moving the other, and then you can join the toes at the back, spread the knees a little and just sit back, forehead to the floor or fists on fists and forehead to the fists. But just relaxing for a moment, nothing to do.
If your wrists are feeling that they've had a little bit too much work in that one, you can actually rotate the wrists as you rest. Recline your wrists. Okay, and now going back into the table
because we're going to stay in one of the poses. So let's first of all breathe in and stay in the hammock shape. Engage base lock, abdominal lock. So we're looking up to the ceiling. Tailbones going up to the ceiling. Breathing into that. Opening up the front of the throat as much as possible. Okay, and then breathing out, going into
the bridge pose. Chin to chest. So you can do all 3 locks. Pushing the spine up to the heavens. Okay, and then bring the toes together, widening out the knees and sitting back again. If you want to do what you do with the arms, but you could walk the fingers away from the torso. Do that long stretch and then widen out the shoulder blades and then relax the forearms onto the ground. You can also rest with fist on fist, and forehead on your fists, the tower of your fists. Okay, and then sliding the hands back towards the ankles, palms upwards at the ankles into Shavasana, the child pose. And let's just simply let go there for a moment, doing nothing. If you can check whether you're still holding your arms, just let them go, let them drop. Arms, let go. Let go of the jaw, you're holding the jaw tight, let go. Okay, and then sliding the hands back up to either side of the head and pushing the head up
so that we're coming up and be warned, but we're coming up to standing. So for a moment, just kneel there, pausing and breathing so we don't get a little bit lightheaded when we stand up. And then coming up to standing. And let's stand in the mountain, the nice steady mountain pose. So the feet hip joint width apart, so the hip joint is in here, straight under, relaxing the arms. Just check the shoulders in case they're doing their fun things. Yours might not, but mine do funny things. Sometimes they come up high, they come too forward. And then imagining that we've got the heavy shopping bags, they're just pulling down the arms. Okay, close the eyes for a moment. Take the inner awareness if you can inside the feet. Check. We've got even weight distribution through the feet. The ankle joint nice and steady, it's not collapsing inwards, outwards, forward, and back. It's lovely. Padasana, the mountain. And just check, some people are still holding their hands, holding their arms. Just let them go. Okay, we'll do the heart work here. So breathing in, coming up. And breathing down to the heart. Centering. Breathing in, opening the hands of the heart. Receiving. Breathing out, sending. Fingers go outwards. Breathing in, opening right across the heart chakra. Breathing out, palms become active. So if they're pushing forward, sending, turn the palms upwards, breathing in. And folding, coming down to the heart, breathing out. Okay, let's do it again. Breathe in. Breathe out, hands down to the heart. Breathe in, opening palms upwards like a book opening. And breathe out, joining the palms together and sending out energy from the heart, care, kindness. Breathe in, receiving. And breathe out, sending through the palms to all beings, including yourself. And breathing in, palms upwards. And in folding. Breathing out down to the heart. So last time in silence. And release the arms back into the mountain. So where we've been heading all class is the standing tree. So think with your feet, think about the weight distribution, think about your toes. Helps in most of the poses if your toes are quite wide apart, and kind of like elephant feet, really spreading onto the earth, okay? So we're going to go up first with our right leg. So that left foot, let's make it as wide on the ground as possible. Okay, and then put the weight into it, just leaning to your left. And then if you know you're going to be unsteady, make sure there's a wall or something you can hold on to, but bringing up the right foot and seeing where it might comfortably stick. So if your yoga trousers are a bit slippy, you can hinge it onto your knee. Some people even use a belt from their shoulder to their ankle to keep that foot up there. If everything's a bit hard, it can rest on the calf, even on the foot, or even on the floor. So you're just tipping the toes onto the floor. Okay, and then the arms steadying out into quite a wide tree at first. Wide oak tree, steady. And then going up into that tall, like a poplar tree. And one of the advantages of probably doing yoga in a room on your own is that you've only got your own wobble distracting you. There's somebody else in the room wobbling around, it usually makes it more difficult. Okay, and then breathing out back to stretch. Wide tree, and then down. Standing back in the mountain, close the eyes for a moment, steadying out. Okay, so you'll feel that your right and left leg feel quite different at the moment because we've been really using the left leg. So now let's put the weight through the right leg, lean onto the right. Okay, and bring the left foot up. See if it'll stick somewhere. And the arms out. Spreading tree. Hopefully that knee is coming out slightly at right angles to the body. And then when you feel steady-ish, going up, now it helps to look at a point about 8 foot in front of you on the floor. And you can lift the fingers higher. I tend to clasp the hands, but with my index fingers straight. So my index fingers are pointing to the heavens, and my thumbs are crossing. Seems to help. And then breathing out, coming down to wide spreading oak tree. And then breathing out some more, coming down and standing back in the mountain. Well done. Shake out the arms a little into the mountain. If you feel very unsteady, keep the eyes open, but if you feel okay, you can close the eyes. Okay, and in this mountain pose, I just want you to drop your chin to the chest. And then we're going to do a ragdoll front bend. So place the hands onto the thighs, chin to chest, bend the knees, and we're slowly going down, forward, forward bend, forward bend, forward bend. But it's a very gentle one until hopefully if you've bent the knees enough, maybe your hands can reach the floor. And then allow the abdominal area to just rest on the thighs. Drop the head towards the floor. And just breathing into that forward bend. Relaxed Uttanasana. And think about your shoulders, shoulder blades. Just let them fall towards the floor as well, the upper part of your back. And then if you wish to, you don't have to, you can tentatively go onto your fingertips or come up a little and just see if you can slightly straighten out the legs a little. I don't want locked knees. I just want you to see if the backs of the legs will stretch a bit as you do this forward bend. But if they don't, much better to keep them bent, comfortable. And then let's hold on to the elbows. So we're in this forward bend, but we're allowing the weight of the arms to help the shoulders, the upper back actually fall forward and down. And just see what the weight distribution is like through the feet, because a lot of people accidentally do this pose with the weight through the heels only. Just check that you've got weight through the front and back of the feet. Okay, then let the hands slide downwards again, and we'll slide the hands up the legs, keep the knees bent. When you get to the knees, push with the hands onto the knees, so that you're bringing up the torso nice and protected, opening out and down. And let's do the back arch just to as a counter pose. So what we're doing is we're putting the hands into the lower back. You can put the middle finger into the little sacroiliac joints there, little dimples, and then breathing in, look up, and then pause. And on the next out breath, just easing your head back into that lovely, soft, gentle back arch. Opening out the front throat area, stretching the thyroid and parathyroid glands, dropping the shoulders if you can. Okay, and then to come out of this, breathing in, lift the head up. Breathing out, bring the chin to the chest for the moment. Keep the hands in position. And that arch will straighten itself out. Then drop the hands and lift the head. Pause. Okay, shake out the hands, shake out the legs. Lovely, and then just do a bit of hip circles. And then hip circles the other way. And again, the first way. And the other way again. Okay, and then swing a little from side to side. Good. Shake, shake, and shake, shake again. Lovely. That's that sequence. I wanted to repeat the sequence we've been doing before. It wasn't last week, it was the session before. Do you remember we were just doing a gentle Lord Shiva pose over to Goddess? Just because we know it, most of us know it, we know what we're doing. It's the last bit, guys, honestly. So just standing, right leg comes up at the level of the left knee. Left hand points to the foot. Right hand at the forehead, breathing in, step into star and then Goddess. Okay, watch that the knees don't go over the toes and that the knees are going in the same direction as the toes. Okay, and then we're going to swing over to the left. Okay, is that right? No, we started, yes, over to the left. So you want to end up the other side with the left foot coming up. Okay. Right hand pointing to that left foot. Old Shiva pose. This leg, knees straight, bent, sorry. That's it. Then widening out again. So just check those knees. So I can see that some of those knees are going forward. Try to have them going over the feet, not forward, over the feet, so they're not compromised because they're that funny hinge joint that needs protecting. Okay. And then lean to the right to swing back into right knee up, right hand up, and over. And then to the other side. Okay, and then release. If you're not sure of that, it's almost like your body memory might not have done it for 2 or 3 weeks. So just swinging back into the body memory, doing it on your own when you have time, doing it in the kitchen, doing it in the hallway, doing it while you're thinking about what am I going to do next in your day. And I dare you to do it in the supermarket. And I might even see some of you in there. Okay, so now coming down to seated, we'll just do some breathing work. And then we can go into the relaxation. Yes. And you can put your socks on. Want to keep your feet warm. Want to keep the toes nice and toasty. And actually, you might find that your feet feel really good after this session. You've been working them. And they like that. Helps their circulation. All sorts of things. So choose your comfortable seated pose. You can sit on a chair, sofa. As long as your back's straight, don't really mind. Okay. And now we've been doing this square breathing. So we've been breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, holding for 4. So we're going to start doing that. And then I just want you to start moving it a little, maybe up to 6. See if you could just expand it. And you know the reasoning behind this. The reasoning behind this is that you're actually encouraging your lungs to be a bit bigger, expand a bit, really work. And as you know, the body's very efficient. If you breathe shallowly, your lungs will actually be quite small and not work so well. So you get yourself stuck in this sequence where your lungs don't work very well because you're breathing shallowly, and then you're breathing shallowly because your lungs don't work, and the whole thing gets stuck. So what we're doing is we're just pushing it a little, and we're doing it very deliberately. So let's do that. Let's breathe in for 4. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Out. Hold. Okay, so keep that count going and see if you can take that to 6. If you can't, go back to 4. If you're getting dizzy at all, go back to just ordinary breathing. Have a pause. And I might be pushing my luck here, but it'd be lovely if you could see if you could settle into kind of enjoying this a little, because it's a soothing breathing and a restful breathing. And then releasing from that square breathing. Breathing normally, pausing, checking how the body's feeling. And seeing what happens when I say the words, let's do the final relaxation. So have a look around, see where your nice blankets are. Click them on below, one above. Eye pillows if you have them. really think they're very, very helpful. I love the way they put pressure on certain acupuncture points around the eye, which is tremendously relaxing. Socks on, sweater if you need it. And I'll just reduce the lighting, so I'm going to go a bit dark. Because you're where you are, if you want to reduce the lighting, that's good. Especially if it's coming down straight from the ceiling, we don't want it sort of glaring at you. And I truly feel that the preparation bit, as you make your cozy place for your Shavasana, for your corpse pose, is part of the yoga. It's part of the being kind to this human being who's doing the yoga. This you who, I mean, this tremendous you that has turned up for the yoga, you know, who's got to your mat, is doing what you can to keep yourself in balance and healthy at all levels. So let's be extra kind to this person. And ensuring that your shoulders are not too near the head. Your hands are palms upwards, to do with the energy points going through the body. And you can make small adjustments at any time in this pose. I had a teacher who used to get really cross with people who moved or wriggled in Shavasana, but the idea that somebody could be uncomfortable or actually even in pain and not move seems terrible to me. So, you know, at any point you could, if you wanted to, roll over onto your side or even roll onto your front, do the inverted corpse pose. Always making sure that you're being the kindest you can to yourself. And just checking if the mind has wandered off, just checking through the body. Are you holding any part of the body up still? Can you let it go? Can you let it feel as though it's become really heavy, really sinking downwards? And again, just checking if there's anywhere in the body that you're still holding tight or tense. And imagine it becoming like liquid lead, just so heavy, melting downwards. And the breathing becoming quieter. And I'm just going to chant in Sanskrit, one of my favorite chants. So just letting the sounds, the syllables, the resonance wash over you. Om Bhuvasvaha Tat Savituvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the material world, the physical world, and the celestial world, the supreme being, the source, be acknowledged, that divine light, its sacred truth. To that we deeply meditate, and may it be endowed deep into the intellect, our awareness. Om, peace, peace, peace. And then I'd like you to wriggle the fingers and the toes. Excuse me. And then bringing the legs to parallel and stretching the arms up to the ceiling. So you're going to touch the ceiling behind you if you want to, but that might feel a bit much. All very slow movements. Any of you who wish to continue lying down in Shavasana, I would highly recommend it. I think Shavasana becomes exceedingly deeply rejuvenating after about 10 minutes. And recommend doing it for 45 minutes is a delight. So don't feel you have to get up. But then gradually, very, very slowly, bending the knees, those of you who wish to get up, and rolling over onto one side and coming up. Okay, so if you wish to unmute, do, if you have any questions on the class. I'm going to just stop the recording there, so our questions are private.